you can't be scared to lose people so that you can go find yourself. And I say this all the time, it's not always a bad thing, it's not always forever.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sally Allen Podcast, where we give voice to stories of resilience. Hey everybody, it's your host, Sally Allen again. We have a very powerful episode for you today. I have Dorian Warmsley. I met him on social media. I'm always looking for people on social media, quality people with powerful stories, so that they can inspire you. And I came across this story and I knew that you had to hear this story. Because while the story started out and it seems like there was so much desolation and there was so much brokenness, this story became a redemption story. It became a powerful story that Dorian now uses to inspire other people and lift them out of their miry muck. So with that, I want to introduce you to Dorian Warmsley. Dorian, welcome to the Sally Allen Podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I appreciate you for reaching out, viewing my Instagram and seeing my story and, feeling that it would have some value towards your audience and having me here. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And you know what we forgot to talk about? You are a podcaster too. And normally by the end, I forget to tell people where to find you. So I'm going to do that in the beginning.
Spice things up. I like that.
Yes. How do people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, just my name, Dorian Warmsley. That's also my YouTube channel where you can watch my podcast. My podcast is called BambooSZN Podcast. It's on Spotify also.
Okay, good. Now that we have that out of the way, Dorian is a sober wellness coach. And I know when there's the word sober behind anything, there is a powerful story behind that.
Yeah.
And you're using that story today to inspire people.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I looked at your Instagram page, my camera is so far away. Have you been getting me? Okay. When I looked at your Instagram page, we forgot. It's not like you and I haven't been podcasting for a while, but you don't have to cut this out. I like it.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So when I looked at your Instagram story, I saw a picture of you that really captured my heart. It was you were in a hospital bed and you were hooked up to all these monitors and everything. And I'm sure that's part of your story. So I can't wait for you to share where your story started, how you got there, and who you are today.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Orange County, California. I grew up with my mom. At the age of about 12, 13, we moved here to Vegas. At the time in California, we were homeless, living in and out of motels, and I was staying with friends. She would live in the shelter, and she just thought coming to Vegas would be an opportunity for things to change. And they did, ultimately. She got a job. Things improved financially. We got an apartment. Life got better. After high school, I started dabbling into partying, drinking, smoking weed, and just progressively partied more and more. I enjoyed having a good time. It was like the early, 19, 20, 21 years old age, around that time frame. And then I started just drinking excessively. Not excessively as in the sense of often. Well, it was often too, but the level of drinking I would do. It was never just a buzz. It was always full throttled, blackout, repeat again, day 2, day 3, And one night in November, coming up on 10 years, was out with some friends on their party bus, and that was the last thing I remember. And then I woke up in the hospital about, I think it's 3 or 4 days later, out of a coma. And I was looking around the room like, whoa, what just happened?
That was the picture I saw?
Yeah.
How old were you then?
24.
24. Okay, and how long you've been on this journey, this drinking journey?
Drinking alcohol?
Drinking alcohol. Like, how long have you been before
from
you?
That, I first party drank senior year of high school from 17.
Okay.
But that was just like beer and stuff. Then as I got older, harder liquor and things like that. So that was like, 20, I think I was 24, 2014. And woke up in the hospital and had no idea what happened to me. And then my mom kind of broke it down to me and I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, you fell from a 4-story window. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had no idea how it happened. Don't remember.
Wow.
And then I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks. It probably could have been longer, but I put a lot of effort into the recovery aspect of things in there because I hated it. I hated being there because I wasn't able to move my body. I didn't go outside for the whole time, eating the food. I couldn't sleep. I was scared to sleep. And I just wanted to be home. So every day when the nurse came with, the resistance bands or the things to do to get recovered, I just really gave full effort as much as I could. And I wanted to be out of there so bad. Wow. And then after 3 weeks, they kind of cleared me to be sent home by my mom.
Well, Dorian, for anybody younger who's listening to this and they're hearing this story, what got you onto the path of to where you were in the hospital? What got you on there? Like, what are some of the things they should look for to say, like, you be careful. These are red flags that will get you down that path. So just be careful of those red flags.
Well, for me, I didn't grow up with a father. Mm-hmm. Well, he was in my life up until we moved to Vegas. So about 12, 13 years old where I kind of didn't have a relationship with him anymore. And I think that led to me searching for a sense of belonging. So kind of trying to feel a part of something. Mm. And how I found that was through alcohol. So being the life of the party, drinking, everybody, I have great energy. So like people love to party and have a good time with me, which I did too at the time. But I wasn't noticing that I was using that as a crutch to mask, not having a father around. Mm. So that's where the drinking became excessive. So anybody watching is if you're getting to that point of you're drinking and blacking out more than you should. I mean, you should never black out. But if it's frequent, that's a sign that you might need to take a step back from the alcohol or even just the people around you.
Yeah.
Which is hard and uncomfortable because, if you have your friends, you love them, you love hanging out with them. But for the betterment of your health, future-wise, especially when I was at that age, I wish somebody would have pulled me to the side like, we're noticing you're getting a little, messed up too often or blacking out. Like back then it was almost celebrated. Like, oh, I got so blacked out. And I think back on it, I'm like, oh, I wish somebody would have called me out on it. Like, that's not okay.
Right. But it also speaks to, there's a saying that we're the sum of the 5 people we hang out with, and seem you're all in the same boat. Nobody has the knowledge or even, the idea of thinking, I should pull him aside and say something. Because I love what you said. A lot of times that type of behavior, especially when you're younger, is celebrated.
Yeah.
Dude, I blocked out. Like, that's so cool, right? And and it's not. It could lead to the hospital. But I would say, what are some of the organizations I know, like Big Brother, Big Sister, for, a 13-year-old without a father listening to this, that they can get a big sis or they can get a big brother? What else do you recommend?
So for me, when I was younger and we were homeless, the one thing that I got lucky to come across was ice hockey. Mm. It was a nonprofit program ran through Disney. I lived in California, Orange County, where Disneyland is at. And it was a free program for people in low-income areas to help them stay out of trouble and things like that. I think for people out there who don't have that father figure or a single parent is to get in some type of activity. It's hard to find free ones, but I think if you do some research, you can find them for your kids. And I think that's going to be very important because it's going to teach them discipline and they'll get that sense of community or, your coach could even be a father figure to or a mentor, and I think that even I train women and they have kids, I tell them, hey, at the young age, get your kids into some kind of sport or activity, jiu-jitsu, basketball, whatever. But that activity for them to be around to find their tribe, and also be creative and keep them out of trouble. I think playing hockey for me was pivotal and taught me a lot. And I would say that.
Yeah. I was at a teacher's conference. I don't know how I got there. I'm a mindset coach. But one of the things I learned, Dorian, and I think you'll find this interesting, that they don't teach kids about mindset and flipping their mindsets in school. They don't teach anything about mindset. They don't teach how to, we know kids commit suicide because they can't regulate their emotions. And teaching about emotional intelligence and teaching about mindset when kids are younger, I think it's so important for them to understand that you can flip your mindset and that you can learn how to think differently and that you can control your thought process. How would that have helped you?
A lot. I didn't shift my mindset until maybe 2014, right before my accident happened. I started to slowly, that was the crazy part about it. I was slowly shifting my mindset right before my accident, and then the accident happened. And I think the work I was doing right before kind of helped me prepare for the recovery and going through what I went through. But definitely, as a kid, it would have been a game changer.
Yeah.
Because I was taught and, conditioned to live and think a certain way, which probably wasn't the best. And I think if somebody was there to teach me how to regulate the emotions and things like that, especially not having a father around, there's only so much my mom can do,
Yeah, when you're younger, your brain's plastic, man. It observes and it stretches to anything that's around you. But that was a nice segue that you were starting to prepare yourself for something different. So when this happened, it was like, holy crap, something's got to give. Something's got to change. So what happened after that?
After the accident? So after the accident, about 9 months later, one of my closest friends ended up passing away. Similar situation almost. Alcohol was involved. And then I started to deal with survivor's guilt because I was like, man, I fell out a 4-story window. I was doing nothing with my life at the time, but I made it. I survived. So when his accident happened, I thought he was going to make it. So when he didn't, I was like, oh, man. And it felt like a lot of pressure of, I have to do something with my life now because I made it, he didn't. I can't just be around here messing around.
Yeah.
But I never knew what it was going to be. So I just eventually went back to drinking. And I drank for another 8 years, off and on, blacking out still, spending money, drunk, doing that kind of stuff. For 8 more years, I continued to drink and party and just not really know who I really was.
Yeah.
Besides the alcohol was who I was.
Wow. Dorian, I feel that people have to get to that point, and it like you were almost there and something pulled you back in, and everybody's journey is different. Do you believe the saying that when it's time, and when the time is right, the time is right? Or do you believe like, man, I really could have pulled myself out of that?
I think I could have pulled myself out.
In that case.
Yeah. But like I mentioned in the beginning, that the sense of belonging that I didn't have.
So that's what keeps driving you back.
You did before.
That did before. So the second time.
So after, that's what drove me back to the alcohol again. Because I'm like, that's where the fun was. That's where all my friends were. Everything we did include, not everything, but the partying and all that, drinking and all that was like a thing to connect, I guess I'll say.
So that's the key. That's the key. Change your environment.
Oh, yes.
Talk to us about that.
100%.
Yeah.
And because like you said earlier, the 5 people you're around is who you're going to become. We all heard that saying and know. And it's not a bad thing. It's just sometimes people don't even know. Like,
right.
Like if we're all drinking together, having a good time, they don't see it as, oh, he has a problem or, oh, maybe he should stop because they're in it with me.
Right.
Once I became sober, I had to remove myself. It was a hard thing. It was very uncomfortable in a very challenging time, very lonely. But I just knew I couldn't go back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just knew it. I got to a breaking point to where I wanted to be the best human I can be possible. Going through everything I went through, it was like the only option. So I separated myself from everybody and everything besides work, and I was working for myself as a fitness coach, and I knew I had to be sharp. Like I had to be on point at all times because the business relies on me. And there were days where weekends would come and I'm just sitting at home laying and I'm like bored. All the thoughts are coming and I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Friday night triggers you because that's when you'll go and start having some fun.
Yeah, weekends. Yeah. Usually it's when it's, let's go do brunch or let's go do this. So now that I removed myself from that, it was uncomfortable. And like I said, lonely because when you're sober, not too many, at that point, not too many people want to do anything with sober activities. The weekends for let's go party, let's go do sake bombs and all that. But it was definitely worth it long term now that I think back on it, that uncomfortability, which a lot of us don't like. We do anything we can to avoid discomfort at times.
Okay, so there were some growing pains in there. There was some mindset switch, and then there was transformation. Talk to us about the growing pain and the mindset switch. What helped you continue in that journey? Because this time you're on the same journey, you're out of it, but what kept you going in the opposite direction?
I would say a mixture of feedback. You know, when I would start posting that I was X amount of months and days sober and stuff like that, people would respond and, you know, very like, oh, wow, I'm inspired. Oh, good job. Especially people who knew me during the time of my accident or during my drinking days. To this day, people are telling me how proud they are because they seen and knew who I used to be. So that was part of the transformation. And what kept me going was just self-development, wanting to better myself. Like I mentioned earlier, those days and times where I was at home, bored on the weekends.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Get on YouTube, learn something. Let me watch how to put together workout plans. Let me watch how to communicate better. Watch a video how to, it might sound crazy, but work with women because I train mostly women. So it's like I want to make sure I'm able to make them feel safe, feel comfortable, but still beyond them to, you know, work hard without being overbearing. So things like that I started to focus on was how can I get better as a human with all those things, communication, with my craft, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know people say like social media could be the devil, but I feel you can use it for so much good. And what I hear you say is social media was, what's the word I wrote down? Accountability. You're posting what you're doing, but it's also inspiring that people are cheering you on. And you didn't, you know, it doesn't seem at that time you had the physical community, but in the social media realm, as you were doing this, people were encouraging you. Yeah. And I think that's so important. In your case, it worked pretty well, right? Were there times when you were being discouraged or somebody said something that you know, discouraged you?
Not really. I never got nothing bad.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There was one thing somebody had said to me, and I didn't get discouraged, but it kind of like, it hurt. And it came from somebody who I was really close with. So that's where it really hurt. You know, it was 4th of July. And even though people I know, they drink whatever, I can still be around. I'm at a space now where I don't feel triggered to want to drink. I'm over it. But, you know, they were looking at some old videos from back when I was drinking on the 4th of July. And then to this current 4th of July, I'm sober. And they had made a comment of like, oh, man, you used to be so fun. I miss when you used to drink. And I heard it, and I was like, I felt hurt, but I felt like, damn, like I've done so much to get to this point, you know, and I've gotten so better as a person. And to hear somebody who I, you know, value and I, you know, real close to me say it, like, was defeating. Yeah. But it was like, it was also a win because at that point in my life, the old me would have been triggered and said something snappy or right back to hurt them. Yeah. But instead, I took a second. I was like, you know what? Let me just digest this for a little bit and see why is it hurting my feelings. And let me see why. And I didn't say anything. I'm like, all right. And I took time away from you know, about 3 weeks. And then I had a conversation with my life coach about it. And then I had a conversation with that person about it and how it made me feel. Yeah. You know, we got over it. You know, they apologized and, you know, all that. And I don't hold it against them. But it's hard to forget certain things. And that, like I said, it didn't trigger me to want to go drink or anything, but it just felt so, like, hurtful.
I think words are so powerful, and if people are not walking in your shoes, they have no idea. And that seems like that's one of that time, and I'm positive that person didn't mean to, you know, I'm positively sure they didn't mean to hurt you. No. Or it was more like, yo, dude, you used to be so much fun. Yeah. And now, but anybody listening to this, and if you're dealing with someone who struggles with alcoholism and they're on their journeys, you just have to be careful that you don't say anything that triggers them, right? And you use encouraging words like, how does someone feel when you tell them they used to be fun when they were drinking and all of a sudden they're not drinking? And I mean, you got to be self-aware of what you're saying.
Yeah, and at that time, because with the alcohol, when I gave it up, the hardest challenges came later down the line. Once I was into it 7, 8 months, almost a year, where I started to get more clear-minded and I started to like second guess who I was. Like I wasn't sure if I was still funny. I wasn't sure if I was still outgoing. I thought it was always the alcohol. So at that point when that person had said that, I was just kind of getting through that. So when they said it, I was like, damn, am I still, you know, that fun, good person that everybody likes to be around? Or was it just the liquor? Right. So that's why it was like a double, like just whammy of the timing of it was just not good. Yeah, yeah. But you have a coach or somebody around you to help you support, and that's what helped me get through it.
So having also eventually work through getting a good support system around you.
Yes, it's a must. I think everybody should have some type of mentor, coach in their life, even if they see him once a month or something. Somebody that's gonna be a support system for you, and it can't be somebody you know. I don't think it could be a friend or it needs to be somebody you don't know.
Yeah,
but that's credible, and it just makes a difference. Because somebody who knows you, they might not be as willing to be upfront with you.
Right. You need a professional. I always say I always have a coach in my life. I'm in between coaches now, but I always have a coach in my life because you need somebody who's objective, who's not your friend, who's not going to tell you what you want to hear, but who's going to kick you in the pants when they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all need a kick in the pants at time,
100%.
from time to time. Yeah. And I feel this is a very important part of this segment because I feel like, I don't know if you heard the term having your own personal board of directors or having your own personal, like companies have board of directors.
Yeah.
But as a person, especially when you've gone through some really hard things and you're moving in that next direction, having a personal board of director is very important. And what that looks like is it could be 5 to 7 people or even 10 people that they serve different purpose in your life. Because not one person can serve all the purpose in your life. For example, your personal coach serves a purpose. They coach you on different things that happen. You might have someone you work out with, which is your fitness buddy or your fitness coach. That's actually a person on your board seat. So you decide, you might have somebody who's like, okay, we're going to go hiking together, or we're going to go do this together, or they do different things with you, or a financial person or a business person or a lawyer. And if you're going to have a holistic living, you need that 5 to 7 people in your life. Talk to us about how you built your board.
How I built my board is being intentional with, like I said, who I want it to be as a person. Like I want to ultimately be one of the best communicators and motivational speakers you can find. Help people with their coaching or sober wellness coaching with my sober wellness coaching. Help people on the fitness side, and also doing charity work. So, like you said, you mentioned earlier about social media, it could be a bad thing. I surprisingly dated somebody, and they kind of shifted my mindset. She had mentioned, like, you should start using it as business instead of entertainment.
That's right.
So I went in, I started unfollowing certain people and certain things that just weren't, like, why am I watching these bums fight or whatever? Like, why am I having that? It's not going to make me feel uplifted. So I started searching for people. The same way you say you search for guests, that's what I would do. I would literally go on Instagram, type in whatever kind of coach, scroll their feed, it fits, and I would just follow them if I don't know them.
Yeah.
They follow back, cool, I'll reach out to them. But I started being intentional with that and finding people within or doing similar things I'm doing or things I want to do and become. And once I did that, it's like it started attracting people. I started attracting certain different kind of people. I got my life coach that way. I have a business coach also, got her that way. And once you start living in your truth as yourself and being authentic, people love it and they attract to you.
Yeah.
To where now there's great people around me that I know and built relationships with. Like, how in the world did I come across to even meet you?
Yeah.
Somebody that we probably know mutually. We shared my stuff or something, and now here I am sitting on your podcast. So it's just, I think, important to be intentional with the people you want. And you can't just hold on to people based off history.
Oh, talk
Do you know
about
what I
that.
mean?
That's going through my head right now. Sometimes you got to let some people go.
Yeah. I had an episode yesterday. I was talking, and I was like, you can't be scared to lose people so that you can go find yourself. And I say this all the time. It's not always a bad thing. It's not always forever. It's separation season, like a season of time where you kind of got to go over here for a little bit in this direction to get yourself right, gain your strength or mental, physical strength. Then down the line, you can come back and, get back with your tribe of people. It doesn't always have to be a negative like, oh, they left me or anything. No. It's very important that you separate yourself at some point to work on yourself. You got to be okay being in solitude also.
I love that term you just used, separation season.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I haven't heard it like that before.
Oh, yeah.
I love it so much because when you are growing, I call John Maxwell, which is my favorite leadership coach.
He's amazing. Great communicator.
Yeah. He calls it when you have reached your lid, and when you're raising your lid, sometimes you got to leave those people behind when you're raising your lid, because they're the people. He always says it, God didn't give them your vision, he gave you that vision. And some people doesn't see your vision that you have. And when God and the universe gives you that vision, you've got to run with it, and you've got to leave them behind if they can't run with you. Mm-hmm. So I think it's so important, that's going to be my term, to use that separation season to run with that vision that you've been given, because they can't understand it. It wasn't given to them. Mm-hmm. Right? And it seems like you had to do that.
Yeah. And like I said, it was not a negative thing or bad thing. It's their and theirs thing too.
That's right.
They got their own families and their own goals and things like that. So while I'm over here working on mine, they're for sure, I would hope so, working on theirs and whatever their journey is. Because there was a point in my life where I always felt like I had to be so attached to friends and stuff like that. Like, the whole time they're working and building their lives. They were going to school and doing these things. I wasn't. So now time's passed, and now I'm in that space now to where I need to really hone in and work on myself and what it is I want to do. It's funny you say about the goals and the mission. I was telling somebody recently how just because somebody has the same goals as you doesn't necessarily mean you have to roll with them. Because me and you have the same goal. We want to make some money.
Yeah.
But my vision is different.
That's right.
I want to make money so I can go help the community or give back. Somebody else might have the goal to make money, but their mission is
buy a yacht.
Exactly. They want to buy something. They want to look a certain way. So it's like, just because somebody has the same goal doesn't necessarily mean you have to roll with them. You need to see what their vision is. Like, why do you want to get in shape? Why do you want to make so much money?
Yeah.
And I think that's important also.
I think it is. It's a good point. So where are you at? I have another question just flew out of my head, but I'm going to ask this one. Where are you at now? What is your morning routine? What's keeping you in check and continuing with the disciplines that you have put in life? What are some of the things, your disciplines you put in life, and how are you continuing to practice those disciplines?
I think I always try to figure out why or how, because there's so many days, like even today, I woke up and I had to wake up earlier than usual, and I just got to get up. I don't know. I really think back to all the things I've been through in life, to be honest.
Yeah.
Being less fortunate as a kid, sharing. I was thinking about the other day, sharing a twin bed with my mom, living in a motel.
Yeah.
Eating salami sandwiches on a fried hot plate in a room. Like, I think about those moments and think about being in the hospital bed, my friend passing away. Like, it's just, I'm one of those people, like, I think about those things, and there's no reason at all that I shouldn't give all my all, And my all might look different day to day, but either way, I'm going towards it in some kind of fashion. So when I wake up in the morning, every day is not always, I can't wait to go to work. Sometimes I'm like, oh, man, my back hurts, I'm a little tired, or whatever, but those are feelings. And I feel like feelings will come and they will go.
Yeah.
They'll come back later on in the day or they'll go away, but I think it's important just to keep moving with the action, and be intentional. And I just know there's people who have stories either worse or not as bad as mine, and they're struggling, for whatever reason. It's not their fault. So I feel a duty that I have this inner strength and drive that I got to go get after it so they can feel like it's possible for them.
Yeah, I love that. It's so inspiring that I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, your whole mission in life is just to inspire people and help them and show them that they can be better and they can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I honestly want to be the person that I wish I kind of had at some point.
Yes.
When things weren't going my way. Because I didn't have a lot of guidance with stuff as I got older. My mom was in my life, don't get me wrong. But she had to focus on taking care of the house. She had to work. She was working, when we moved to Vegas, she was working at the 99-cent store, making $6.15 an hour, and would walk to work miles. Literally walk, and I would go meet her to help her with groceries and bring her back home. And, growing up, I didn't have a lot of material things. Never had a game system, never had the newest Jordans, But one thing she did give me and taught me was how to survive and how to grind. Like, she instilled that in me as a kid. I didn't even realize until I got older, like, going through with her. And she taught me how to have a lot of optimism. It would always be greater later, she would always say to me. As we're homeless and living in, she would always say that, and I just rolled with it.
Oh, my gosh. I love this so much because that's my son and that's our story. Like, I didn't have much to give to him, but what I could teach him is the street smarts, the skills to survive, the skills to take anything in the pantry and make a meal.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
You never say there isn't food in the house if there is something in the pantry.
Yeah.
And he always remembers that. He's 30 now, and those are the things he remembers. Mom, I can cook, I can clean, I can do my laundry, I can survive.
Yeah.
And it sounds like your mom did such a good job. Kudos to her.
100%. And now that I'm older, it's wild when I come across people who kind of had a different background, maybe had more than I did, and the littlest things happens and they freak out. And I'm like, you don't even know.
You don't even know.
Life's going to get a lot harder. Life's going to get a lot harder.
That's right. If you're freaking about the little things, you got to learn how to deal with the little things. Yeah. I want to go back to what you said. I wrote this word down, motivation, though. Like, I feel a lot of people are waiting for inspiration and motivation.
Yeah.
And you can't wait for it.
No.
You draw from your past and what you don't want, but you also are looking towards what you want. And people that lives in scarcity mindset, they focus on, I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that, I don't ever want to be this. But an abundance mindset, they focus on, I know what I want, and I know what this future is going to look like, and I'm going towards it. And I feel like that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, knowing what you want and going after it, and a little bit of knowing where you came from and leveraging that I'm not going back there because I know what I want in the future.
No, 100%. And I think with motivation, to me, it doesn't even really exist for my life at least. You know, as a fitness person, all that, people will ask me that, like, what keeps you motivated? I don't even think about motivation. It's like a set of things I must do daily that are just part of who I am now. Motivation, I might rarely feel it or something, but it doesn't, I don't go to nothing. I don't listen to music for motivation. I don't watch things to get motivated. I do them to kind of remember.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll forget who I am and what I've been through, and I'll just hear somebody like, I love David Goggins. I love Eric Thomas. Like, when I hear them, and I'll just put a clip up, and I'm like, okay, I remember now, and get back to it.
Yeah.
Because motivation is, like I said earlier with feeling, it's a feeling. You know, you'll feel it for a little bit. You watch a video and you feel it, but then you go pick the kids up and you kind of forgot, you know, or you go to work and you kind of forget.
I forget, yeah.
So it's about setting. Another thing I like to say is, like, goals are great. Goals are great to have. I think if you start setting a new standard for yourself, it's a little bit better and a little bit more firm. I guess the word I'll use. You know, if you set a goal of going to work out 2 times a week, maybe you only go once. That's okay. My goal was 2. I got 1. Maybe next time. But if it's a standard for you, like it's who you are, like I'm a person that goes to the gym twice a week no matter what. That's who I am. That's my standard as a human. I think that will help you so much more.
Yeah.
Is setting new standards for yourself.
Man, Dorian, you're talking my language.
Let's go.
Let's go. You're talking my language because same like you, I don't believe in motivation. It's a feeling. If I'm not motivated to make that video that needs to go on social media, then I'm not going to do it. So you got to build those habits. That's what you're saying. You build those habits and you stack on those habits because that's what's going to keep you, like you said. I have a set of things that I do, and that's what I do. I want to work out 6 days a week. That's what I do. I have a home gym. I have no excuse.
Yeah.
So I'm out of bed at 6 o'clock, and I'm down at that gym working out every day. My mindset was, if I can't do an hour, I'm not going to do it. I flipped the switch. If I only do 30 minutes, I'm still doing it because I want to do it every day. Yes. So habits and building habits is way better, and flipping your mindset to say, look, when we set goals, I think this is where you're going with this. We reach those goals, then what? Then what? Right? Oh, it's say climb a bigger mountain, and then what? But if you have a set of things, I have to do this every day because these are the standards I set for myself, that you can't fail.
No.
You can't fail.
That's great. I'm glad you said that because you do reach those goals. There's going to be that week you get 2 workouts in. 3. You go 3 weeks. So then all of a sudden week 4 you don't get that 2 workouts in. You'll think back, well, I hit my goal 3 weeks this month. Nah, it's a standard, baby. It's who you are day in and day out.
It's who you are. Changing your identity. That's what I wanted to say. Changing your identity to who you are. You are a person, instead of saying, oh, I have good habits, or I said this. No, I'm a person that said, you said it, high standards for myself. That's my identity. My identity is not that I work, I'm not going to work out 5 times a week. My identity is I am a fit person. I'm conscious about my health, right? Changing that instead of identifying yourself by the habit, you change and you flip that mindset. I'm a healthy person.
Yeah.
I like to stay healthy, right? I like to stay active. That's my, like, just I'm a podcaster. It's not that I talk on the microphone. I'm a podcaster. That's part of my identity. So changing your identity, I think, is so important. And it helps you to become that person and go to the next level.
Yeah, because I think we got to hold ourselves to the same standards we hold other people to.
That's right.
You know, because somebody does you wrong, what are you going to do? You're going to cut them off. You're going to separate yourself. You're going to not probably want to deal with them the same way. But we don't even keep ourselves to that same standard.
Right.
You know, like we do ourselves wrong so many times where we sleep in longer than we should. We don't eat how we should. We don't do what we say we're going to do. That's you not treating yourself right.
That's right.
So the same way you punish somebody, you need to punish yourself some way. Like, you know?
I say that. So I tell my clients this. I said, they're like, well, because I went to bed at midnight, I didn't wake up till 8 a.m. I'm like, well, you're not holding yourself accountable and there's no consequence. Because if I decided I'm going to watch NCIS one more episode and go to sleep at midnight, I still get up at 6 and that's my consequence to me. I don't sleep in because I don't do that. It's a consequence, Sally. You're going to struggle through this podcast today because you decided that you're going to go sleep at midnight.
That's so funny because I think the same thing every time when
Do you really?
Yeah, because I set my alarm, you know, for a certain time I want to wake up. And there's days I know I don't got to be up so early. So then, you know, very much what you just said, I got to pay the consequence. I'm going to be tired today. I'm going to need extra coffee today because I chose to stay up later. There's a story of Kobe Bryant had said that he doesn't party or drink like that, right? He said they were out in, I think, Miami. The younger players came knocking like, hey, come drink with us, come party with us. He said, all right, I'll go drink and party. But tomorrow morning, you come work out with me. Yeah. So then he went out, had drinks with them, whatever. Next morning, 4 a.m., knocking on the door. Hey, I went with you. Now you got to come with me.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You know, you're probably tired, you're probably hungover, but hey, that's the consequence you pay for the choices you decided to make.
That's right. I love that, Dorian. I think we speak the same language, holding ourselves to a higher standard. It's so crucial, especially being coaches. And it's not to say that we're perfect because we make mistakes and we slip in. And every once in a while I'll sleep in. But I think it's so important to actually walk the talk and practice what you preach as a coach.
Yeah, and then getting coaches.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I have the ones I do have because, like you said, we're human too. We're gonna slip and fall and, you know, have our days. But having somebody to keep you accountable, it's very important. If you can't afford a coach or anything, get a real good friend and let them know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if they are a great friend, they're gonna keep you accountable to what you said you're gonna do.
And you're gonna love this because a month ago I set a goal for myself. I wanted to do pull-ups.
Oh.
Today I did my first 2.
Did you really? Let's go.
Well, I did my first 2. I'm like, that upper body strength, I know I couldn't do it if I didn't have it, so I'm building my upper body strength.
That's amazing.
I know, I'm pretty excited.
I was today this morning I was training some clients and I told them like push-ups and pull-ups are not as that easy thing to, you know, get good at. It's takes some time.
Yeah, and you got to be careful that you don't hurt yourself. That's the key too.
Yeah.
So when I did my first 2 this morning, I'm like, hey girl, you go. But is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask you?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm an open book. You can ask me any kind of questions. I always like to tell my story in a be vulnerable and open as possible.
And you have, yes.
Because
thank you.
I think that's where people will start resonating with you more.
Yes.
When they feel, because somebody's going to hear it and be in that same situation. Like I had no idea that me and my mom's story was similar to you and your son.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that's one thing I kind of wish the world and people would be more open to doing. It's hard, but of owning your story and being willing to share it.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be in a podcast, but just share it to people because you never know who needs to hear it.
That's right.
From experience for myself, the more I've told it and talked about it, it's almost a healing thing to where I'm like, and I kind of start remembering things like, man, that really almost broke me, but here I am. And like, I don't know, it just feels healing at times being able to tell it.
Yeah. And while you're on this healing journey, I think that the healing journey is always it's long term. It's not short term.
Yeah.
But while you're on it, what's the hardest thing you experience while you're on this journey?
The hardest, I would say probably grieving the old you, saying bye to that. Because there's certain things I do miss at times of who I used to be and stuff like that. But I just keep them as memories, It was a good time for that period of life. Now it's time to make even better ones as I move forward as a sober adult and, developing. And I think that's probably the hardest part as of now was that.
Yeah. I like that. I don't know that I'm thinking if I grieve anything, the old part of me. I just love this iteration where I'm in, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it awesome?
No, it is.
It is such a great iteration of where you are right now. This was so good, and I feel like we can just talk all day long.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah. I love talking.
Yeah, but is there anything you want to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, it's two things.
Yeah.
Actually. So one of them is a quote I love to live by. I heard it from, are you familiar with Mel Robbins?
Yes.
Yeah, she had said it on, I want to say one of her podcast episodes, maybe 2 years ago now. And it was, I am going to be an example that it is possible.
Yeah.
Meaning me, homeless as a kid, falling out a 4-story window, no father, making bad decisions. I've been to jail before, all those things. But here I am still showing up, showing you that it's possible to change.
Yeah.
So when people hear this and every time their story seems like it's getting rough and rough patches, remind yourself, I'm going to be an example that's possible. I'm going to hit this roadblock, I'm going to get over it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the example for the next person. That's one quote. And then also one that I love, it's like a life staple, I don't know, is to be a bison. Are you familiar with the story of the bison?
No.
So the bison is one of the, if not the only animals, they go towards the storm when it comes because they realize the sooner they go towards it, the sooner they'll get out of it.
Yeah.
So when I think about life, it's like when the struggles come, the adversity, don't try to run from it and avoid it. Go through it. Yeah. Head on like a bison. The sooner you handle it, the sooner it'll be past you. So for those listening, be a bison.
Be a bison. I love that, and there's so much that's going through my head with that. But I'll leave it at there because you articulated so well. And there is just one thing that I want to leave with also. There is a saying that, your story wasn't meant for you. It was meant for someone else. And one day it will be their guiding light and lead them into redemption also. So keep sharing your stories. Whatever your story is, somebody needs to hear it out there. Be vulnerable. And with that, it's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to the Sally Allen Podcast, where we give voice to stories of resilience. Until next time, this is Sally Allen. Remember that every setback is a setup for a comeback. And remember, if you like this podcast, the only way we can get it out is if you like, subscribe, and share.